once again, we want to welcome everybody to Friday's Heroes and Employee of the Week. We do this every Friday. It's great for us, so we love to highlight the great work being done by our public safety personnel and non-public safety personnel throughout the city. For me as a mayor, it always makes me proud to see the great work that's going on behalf of the citizens of Albuquerque. And today's no exception. We have a family affair today. This is absolutely fantastic. Today we're honoring Albuquerque Police Department Detective who saved the life of one of our cherished senior citizens. Detective Carla Perez is with us today. Her dad, husband, who's
retired from APD.
Retired sergeant from APD.
Yes.
Her mom, Beatrice, is here with us today. Her daughters, Kristen and Amanda, are here, and Jaslyn, her granddaughter, is with us today. So we want to thank all the family for coming today. While surveying a local neighborhood, Detective Perez discovered a running vehicle outside of a home. And as you all know, every winter APD issues warnings to drivers that they should not leave their cars running, because all too often, if you are warming up your car in the driveway, that's an opportunity for a thief. And we have a number of occasions each year where thieves steal cars that are being warmed up. So Detective Perez, knowing this information, wanted to warn the homeowner. She knocked on the door and she rang the doorbell, but no one answered. So Detective Perez then became concerned for the homeowner and went around the house to see if she could find anyone. On the side of the home, Detective Perez found an elderly woman on the ground, cold and unable to stand. This poor woman had been stranded outside for an hour in the freezing temperatures. So Detective Perez immediately called for a rescue unit and tried to keep her warm until the paramedics got to the home. About a week later, the senior wrote a gracious letter to Detective Perez, thanking her and praising her for her diligence, her attention to detail, her concern, and ultimately for saving her life. This is one of the great stories that exemplifies the character of not just Officer Perez, but of the Albuquerque Police Department. And if Detective Perez had not had an action-packed, chaotic scenario to deal with, I think we wouldn't be here today. But the fact that she did, and the fact that that her actions were so caring, on top of being a public safety professional with life-altering results, I think once again, it speaks volumes. In this case, she saved the life of one of our cherished senior citizens, and I know she does great work. And I'm going to bring up Deputy Chief Roseman to talk a little bit about Detective Perez and some of the other great work that she does on behalf of APD and the citizens of Albuquerque. So, Chief Roseman.
Sure. Good afternoon. When they told me that Carla was getting this, one of the things we had to look at was, what was it, 2 weeks after this? It was shortly after where you had the incident,
yes.
Right? We weren't sure which one it was, because Carla had this one where she saves this lady, but 2 weeks later, she was working an operation at the mall attack plan and went to apprehend an offender that was fleeing from police and actually struck her with the vehicle. And Carla was severely injured from this accident. So I wasn't sure which action she was being recognized for, because both of them are very heroic on behalf of the department. So just really thank you for your work. She has always done wonderful work, family tradition of police officers here, and so just thank you very much for all that you've done for us.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much.
You.
And what we do for our Friday's Heroes is we had a specialty coin that was made up, and it's Mayor's Public Safety Heroes Award, and it's got police and fire and emergency management on there. We just want you to have that as a token of our gratitude. You know, this morning we had the 108th cadet class of APD graduated, and what I told the cadets was, you're joining one of the finest police organizations in the country, if not the world. We have tremendous dedicated officers that go out every day, and for you, Detective Perez, to set this example for the younger officers as they're coming up, the new officers, it's much appreciated. And those of us that live in the community, we're just very grateful for all you're out there doing, and just stay safe. We appreciate you very much.
Thank you so much.
And stick around, we'll get a photograph here in just a minute.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Let's bring up Georgia, Armijo Brasher, and David Gallegos, if we can. All right. Let's come on up, and we'll either side here is fine. What's interesting today is we kind of have a theme going here, where we have people in the city of Albuquerque looking out for other people in our city. And like Detective Perez, this story is not dissimilar. This story is about how Senior Affairs employee David Gallegos, who's with us today, was also looking out for one of his elderly clients. The incident with David also occurred this past December, just days before the Christmas holiday. He was having a routine day, delivering meals to our seniors, but his day quickly took a different direction. And I want to talk a little bit about the meal delivery program for seniors as well, because it really is a difference maker in many, many people's lives. He found himself worried and vigorously knocking on one of his clients' doors. When the elderly man that he normally sees didn't open the door, he became very concerned, and he decided to try to locate the client through the front windows of the home. Through the window, he saw his client, who was unconscious and slumped over in a chair. So he immediately dialed 911. He went outside of the home, following the dispatcher's directions to check his client's vitals once he was inside the home. And because the client was a double amputee, Mr. Gallegos had to pull the elderly man up by his trunk. Then he proceeded to get the vital signs, relaying them to the dispatcher as they waited for an ambulance to arrive. David also contacted his supervisors to see if the family of his client could be reached. When the emergency responders got to the home, he helped lift the client into the gurney and see him off to the hospital. Just as David was getting ready to leave the house, the client's son arrived. He gave the son all of the information he could, and then he went back to finish his shift. A couple of days later, the son called David and told him that his father had suffered a severe stroke and was still on life support at the hospital. The son emphasized the family's intense gratitude to David for his efforts to help save his father's life. Unfortunately, Mr. Gallegos' client did succumb to damage caused by the stroke, and he passed away on New Year's Day. But of course, he wouldn't have had a chance to spend his last days with his family if David wouldn't have done what he did. And of course, we want all these stories to have happy endings, but we just want to take away the fact that David was there for his client. He cared deeply. His dedication and his work allowed a family, as I said earlier, to spend their last few days together. I want to bring Georgia Armijo Brasher up to say a few words as well. Georgia and her Department of Senior Affairs do a tremendous job. 6,000 meals a day? 8,000 we're up to. 8,000 times a day a senior in our community gets a hot meal. And that's due to the dedication and the support of the taxpayers as well, because that takes dollars to do that. But you know, Albuquerque is consistently ranked a great place to be a senior. And I think part of the reason, if not a large part of the reason, is the great work that our staff at Senior Affairs does. So Georgia, you want to say a few things as well?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor, for this opportunity to be able to honor some of our great employees like David Gallegos. The story is very touching. As I talked with David prior to this, he's explaining to me on a daily basis, he may be the only person that sees these seniors on a daily basis. They build a relationship, they know each other. He showed true character and professionalism in his ability to react and care for this senior in the way they did. Truly, Mayor, you said it right. He helped the family to be able to spend their last days with their grandfather and father. So thank you, David, for being an outstanding employee. We appreciate you so very much.
David, we have a couple of things, and I'll tell you one last story before we end. A couple of years ago, remember, we had a really cold snap in the city of Albuquerque, and we had the roads were snow-packed and icy, and not all of the meal delivery vehicles are four-wheel drive. So a couple of us at City Hall took our four-wheel drives. I drive a Yukon, and that's got four-wheel drive, and we went and we picked up some of the meals, and we started delivering them, and my wife Marie and I went out, and we delivered, I don't know, 20 meals or something to people who needed the meals, but the route drivers didn't have the four-wheel drive. So we would knock on these doors, and it was more than once where we'd knock on a door, and the senior would open the door, and they'd say, "Oh, it's the mayor. Where's my regular person?" And so, and it just tells you that these relationships do build up.
Oh, yes.
And it really is a very special thing. So, David, what we have for you is we have a certificate for Employee of the Week. We also have a letter for your personnel file thanking you, and then we have an Employee of the Week mug that we have come up with, and we'd like you to have that as well. And way to go, you know.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you guys do great work, and we really thank you for all that you're doing out there. And we talk about Albuquerque being a great city a lot, and as a mayor, it's not lost on me that great cities are made up of great folks, and we've got them in abundance in Albuquerque. And our employees at the city of Albuquerque, all 6,000 plus of them, go out every day, whether it's public safety, Albuquerque Police, Albuquerque Fire, or any one of our different almost 20 departments that we have. You just do great work, so thanks a lot.
Appreciate it.
You're
Really
much appreciated.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.